Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with a video today about Portugal, and I'm going to ask the question in 2022 if Portugal is still an attractive country to move to or retire to. That's the question that I'm going to ask today. And basically the answer to that question, in my humble opinion, is yes. And one of the reasons I enjoy Portugal so much is because of the lifestyle. I like to call it a laid-back, stress-free Atlantic coast lifestyle, and that's exactly what Portugal offers. And for me here in Portugal, it's easy to find a good quality of life and a fantastic work-life balance. As you guys know, I work from home, so it's easy for me to pick up my stuff and bring it to Portugal and do what I need to do here. And I definitely find that here in Portugal my work-life balance improves, and one of the main reasons for that is this thing I have behind me, the Atlantic Ocean, and I find that the coast really brings my stress levels down, because how can you not be inspired and creative with this magnificent landscape? So when it comes to lifestyle and a laid-back culture, the Portuguese have really worked it out. Now another thing for me that stands out and makes Portugal a fantastic country is the weather. Okay, it's not perfect weather, it's not that perfect Mediterranean weather, but that's also something that I love about the weather here in Portugal. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. For me, it's just right. For example, today, the 2nd of January 2022, very mild indeed, and I'm here with nothing more than a shirt and a t-shirt on underneath, so very mild weather indeed. However, as you can probably guess, with the Atlantic Ocean here behind me, it means that storms are common in this part of Portugal. So be prepared for rain, especially in the winter months, but again, it's not all that cold, especially if you compare it to the north of Europe. Now, I'm currently in central Portugal, about 100 kilometers north of Lisbon and about 200 kilometers south of Porto. And basically what happens here in Portugal is the further you go south, the better the weather becomes, and the further north you go, the worse the weather becomes. So keep that in mind. Down south good weather, up north bad weather, and here in central Portugal we're right in the middle of those two extremes. Summers can be hot, especially if you go inland, but in the middle of summer you don't really want to be anywhere else here in Portugal but on the coast. Now the next thing I'm going to talk about is cost of living, and Portugal is still cheaper than most European countries, but the cost of living here is increasing. For example, over the last couple of years, I've noticed that restaurants are getting more expensive. I've noticed that rents are going up. For example, here in this part of Portugal, a few years ago, you could get a rent for around 350, 400 euros a month, but now for less than 600, it's hard to get an apartment. And I think that's partly due to 2 or 3 different reasons. One is the tourist effect. Lots of tourists come to this part of Portugal. There's lots of surf camps, so people from the north of Europe come here and spend a bit of time. Therefore, rents go up with Airbnbs and things like that. And the second reason is due to the pandemic, of course, that lots of people from places like Lisbon, the big cities, have come to places like this one, therefore forcing rent prices up. However, in countries like Spain, prices are also increasing. We know that Spain has a serious inflation problem at the moment. Prices increasing around 5 or 6% every month, and here in Portugal as well, that is part of the problem. In general, I'd say that this part of Portugal is still around 25 or 30% cheaper than most of Spain, especially when it comes to things like having a coffee. You can get a coffee here for 70 cents, whereas in Spain for less than €1, you're not going to get a cup of coffee. And another thing I'll say about Portugal when it comes to cost of living is that fuel prices here are ridiculous. In Spain, if you pay around €1.50 for a litre of unleaded petrol, here in Portugal, you pay around €1.75. And another expense you're going to have associated with having a car here is the price that you pay to use the motorways. In fact, I don't think there's a motorway in this country that you don't have to pay for. And when it comes to grocery shopping or going to the supermarket here in Portugal, it's not too bad. Portuguese supermarkets seem to operate on a discount system. You can always find lots of things heavily discounted. And when those products are discounted, that's the time to buy in bulk. So for example, if you need to buy shower gel, shampoo, deodorant, you can often find that type of product with heavy discounts. Now, another thing that makes Portugal an attractive country in 2022 is the visa and tax systems that they have here. There are some very attractive visas and tax regimes for people looking to come and live, work or retire in this country. For example, the non-habitual resident visa, where you pay a flat rate of 20% tax on earnings. And for people with a lot of money to invest in the country, you can also get golden visas here also, similar to Spain. But what about for digital nomads? Is Portugal an attractive country for that type of worker? Again, the answer is yes. We all know that Spain is going to launch a digital nomad visa in 2022 because it wants to get in on that market, but Portugal has been attracting digital nomads for years. And one of the reasons for that are the visas they offer and attractive tax policies. And Portugal is also an attractive place for retirees, and you don't have to prove as much income as you do in Spain. For example, here in Portugal, I think you only had to have proof of income of around €1,000 a month, whereas in Spain, it's over the €2,000 mark. So from a visa point of view and a tax point of view, as I said, Portugal is a very attractive country. Now just interrupt the video here to give a shout out and say thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creative people where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. Skillshare offers thousands of inspiring classes on a wide range of topics that include languages, photography, illustration, music, freelance and entrepreneurship, business and web development, and lots more. Now, if you are planning a move to a country like Portugal, you might want to learn some Portuguese to help you get by here and integrate faster into the culture, and the Skillshare class 3-Minute Portuguese by Kieran Ball will help you do just that. And if you are thinking of becoming a digital nomad, there are plenty of Skillshare classes that can help you with this also. For me, the main advantage of Skillshare is that it has classes to suit any skill level. You can be a beginner, a pro, a dabbler or a master, it doesn't matter. You will find classes to suit you on Skillshare. Another pro is that most Skillshare classes are under 60 minutes with short lessons to fit any schedule. And the first 1,000 people to use the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So click the link below and take advantage of the offer and check out Skillshare for yourself. Now back to the video. And the last thing I'm going to talk about, and it's something that's very important for me, is the quality of the food and drink in this country. And basically, if you like Spanish food, you will love Portuguese cuisine. Food here follows the Mediterranean diet, so there's plenty of fresh vegetables, plenty of fresh fruit, plenty of fresh meat, plenty of fish, and it is a very well-balanced diet. And another thing I love about Portugal is that going out for a meal to a restaurant is not an expensive experience. There are plenty of restaurants offering cheap food options. For example, you can have the plate of the day option here for around €4 or €5, not expensive. Wash that down with a nice bottle of cheap Portuguese red or white wine. What more can you ask for? Then in my opinion, Portuguese wine is on par with Spanish wine. Not only on par when it comes to price, but also on par when it comes to quality. And as I said earlier in the video, if you go to a supermarket here in Portugal, there's plenty of fresh produce on display. A lot of it is grown locally, so that is a big pro. So eating and drinking in this country, a fantastic experience. So I'll wrap the video up there, and I hope I've answered some of the questions as to whether or not Portugal is still an attractive country to move to, whether it be for work, whether it be as a retiree. Those are the questions, and in my opinion, it is. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. Tell us your opinions on the topic, whether or not you think Portugal is a fantastic country to move to. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.